days after reports and speculation over it, now sources confirming to NDTV that the Indian Oil Corporation has contracted a deal with a Russian oil company for the import of 3 million barrels of crude oil. Himanshu joining us with the latest on that big story. Himanshu, what are the details?
Well, a senior official has confirmed to me that finally a contract has been signed between Indian Oil Corporation Limited and a Russian oil company. And this is a deal which in the present situation, considering the high level of crude oil prices in the international market, sources have told me that this is the best rate at which India could have bought the crude oil in the present situation. And this is a direct company-to-company deal. He said it's wrong to say that this has happened at the level of the government. This is between one PSU and the other Russian PSU. And this is a deal, this is a commercial deal between two companies. Remember, throughout the Ukraine crisis, India has not imposed any kind of sanctions. And the government sources are telling us that Indian companies are free to do any kind of trade with the Russian companies. India, of course, is a major importer of its energy sources. More than 80% of the crude oil is imported by India. Though Russia contributes around 1% of India's total crude oil imports, but the sanctions by US and other European countries has actually led to a spike in the international crude oil prices. That in turn has put pressure on the Indian oil companies to look for cheaper sources of crude oil. And of course, in this difficult situation in the international oil market, the Russian oil company has finally agreed to give the best rate possible, though the sources are not revealing at what rate this deal has been finalized. But this is, of course, the first deal. And in fact, the official indicated that now the other government-owned Indian oil companies can also go for similar deals at their level. The idea is to broad base the new sources of crude oil import that India desperately needs now to avoid this high increase that has happened in the crude oil market in the last 3 weeks. Ankita.
Right. Himanshu, of course, we've already heard from government sources about how important it is to be able to do this at this point with that very clear message about not politicizing India's energy needs. So we know where the government stands on all of this. But on the larger question of what this is going to mean or how this is going to be viewed by the international community, particularly the West, at this very delicate juncture, is India signaling some kind of realignment by this move? What are we to make of the larger global realpolitik of this?
A very important question, Ankita. There is a strategic dimension behind this economic decision. That's why the sources repeatedly telling us that this is a company-to-company deal. But remember, Hardeep Puri was asked this question in Rajya Sabha on Monday, and he had very categorically said that he has himself contacted a high-level official in the Russian Federation, and the talks are going on at several levels with the Russian government for the import of crude oil. A government has taken a decision. This is a policy decision that wherever India gets the best rate possible in terms of the cheaper freight charges that would be possible, or the new sources where the crude oil itself is supplied at a very low rate, India will go ahead with that decision. And this has come at a time when US and other countries have been gently pressuring India not to go ahead with the import of crude oil. But as I said earlier, since the start of the Ukraine war, India has been maintaining an equidistance from both sides and has very categorically said that at no point of time there is any sanction imposed by the Indian government on any kind of trade with the Russian companies. In fact, sources from the MEA, in fact yesterday only, told us that in the present situation, it would be wrong to pressurize India. This is a decision that government has to take on the basis of its own economic interest. And that's why whether it is MEA or Ministry of Petroleum, repeatedly this stand has been conveyed to us, this information has been shared with us,
right,
that India at the present moment will continue to go ahead with trade with Russian oil companies.